Hey guys, it's Auntie coming back with a makeup tutorial. Today we're going to be testing out the Colourpop Sweet Talk palette. This is part of their spring collection. This is what the palette looks like. It has a ton of corals and yellows and some neutrals, some golds, browns. It's a beautiful palette. Because the foundation that we're going to be using today is a little bit on the drier side, I'm going to use a moisturizing primer. This is the POREblem. No, it's the I can't say that. This is the POREblem. Could they have made this any more confusing? Anyway, it's a hydrating primer. I agree that it's very moisturizing. I don't agree that it's very pore filling. But it definitely feels really, really nice on the skin. I'm gonna add on top of that, just to fill the pores here, the Revlon Photo Ready primer. This is the pink one. This is the one that's really good at pore filling. Just a small amount, rubber between my fingers, and let's put this just right there and in the forehead, because that's where I can see the enlarged pores. Okay, maybe I've already wet my beauty sponge. This is the L'Oreal sponge. This is one of my favorite at the drugstore. Just go ahead and put a couple of pumps in the back of my hand. And let's start applying, shall we? Oh yeah, this foundation is more of a mattifying one. It's definitely a little bit more mattifying than my usual ones, than what I usually go for, that is. More for the forehead, and just keep pouncing that in. Okay, now for concealer, I'm going to put the Urban Decay Corrector, and this is the peach one. And so I just like to apply this just in the inner part, where I have the really dark circles, or it's more pronounced in the inner part of my eye. And I just blend that with my finger. I find that that works best for the color correction. Wait, okay, now we're moving on to concealer. This is the concealer, First Aid Beauty Bendy Avocado. I've been really loving this one. It's very hydrating, and it has like medium coverage. It's not full coverage, and it's not so light. It's just the right amount. And I go in with the beauty sponge for this part, and then we set that with, as always, with my Becca Hydra-Mist powder. This is the only powder I use under my eyes. I find that it's the only one that doesn't cause, you know, that cakey look, or it doesn't really dry up my eyes. And go right in with the Wet n Wild Stick Foundation. This is in the shade Almond And I'm going to use it today as, let's see, we're going to use it as a bronzer. So I just do that. Get like 2, a little bit here, a little bit in the forehead, not much. This is a pretty dark color. Then I'll go in with a dense brush. And by the way, all of the products that I'm using I'll have listed down below, and as well as the brushes. This one doesn't have a name. I think I got this on one of the BoxyCharm boxes. This foundation, this stick foundation, blends really, really easily. But I didn't get the color that I got. I actually got 2 and they were both too dark. So this is how I've been using it. I'm sure once, you know, summer rolls around, I tend to get like 3 shades darker. In the summer, I tan really easily and I get really, really dark. And so I'm sure this will be, I'll be able to use this as a regular foundation. Maybe not this shade, maybe the other one that I got, which is I think the one before this one. Okay, let's go ahead and do the eyebrows before I dive into the shadows. I'm going to be using the Iconic London. This is what we got in our BoxyCharm last month. And I'm going to just use my own. It comes with a little brush, but I'm just going to use my own. And I'm going to dip into the lighter color here. Into that one. This is very, a lot of product comes off, so I have to kind of just gently, first I'm going to brush out. Brush it all out first, and then start. I first start with like, sorry, doing an outline at the bottom, and then I lift and then come from the angle from above so that I can then do the top. And I'm shaking as I'm doing this because I'm doing it in front of the camera. I can pretty much, you know, once I got the hang of it, it wasn't always like this though. It took me a while to get the hang of the shape of my eyebrows because they're so different, and so I have to kind of overdraw this one at the top to kind of make it match more on this side. So, you know, it's just practice, just like everything else. And the more I do it, the more accurate I get as far as shaping it to, you know, to make them match one another. Okay, I'm going to prime my eyelids with the Benefit. This is actually a corrector, but it's the #1, and it has like a salmon-y color. Salmon-y, I don't know if that's a word, but I like to use it as a primer. I find that it works great as a primer, and not so gray, and not so great under my eyes. It was, I found it to be very drying. Okay, so we're gonna use Real Techniques brush just to even that out. And this goes on, you know, it's tacky, but I will go ahead and set it in a little bit once I'm done blending everything in. I'm going to use one of the colors right from here, the one at the top here, a very light cream color, and we're just going to put it all over the lid. Continuing with that color just to set that primer. So we have a nice clean canvas to work in. So now we'll start with a transition shade. Actually, I'm going to start off with this MAC one, which is a little bit fluffier. And I'm going to go into this color here. Okay, moving on, we're going to go to this color here, bottom corner here. Tap off the excess and then sort of place that, start building that up in the outer V. Okay, so we're building up that color in the outer V. Let's just go into the darkest color, which is like a brown, burgundy brown, really, really nice one. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing. Okay guys, sorry, my camera had died and so I had to charge it. And so we're back. Let's finish up this makeup look, shall we? So I'm going to take this color here, the second one right here. We're going to try it first without wetting the brush. It's applying on really nicely. It's just the way I like it. Not too, it's almost like just a wash of shimmer. Nothing too intense. This is exactly how I prefer. And this is, yeah, this is applying very nicely without having to wet the brush. I don't know if you can see it on camera. Very, very nice. Going back in with that original color. This one here that we had started out with. I believe we had, it's been 2 hours actually, because I was charging the battery for that long. But I'm just gonna go over the edges again, kind of lighten that up again. We're gonna go and put the same colors on their lower lash line. And same colors that we applied at the top. I'll actually just go on this one here. Go on the lower lash line here. For the outer corner, I'm gonna go into the deep brown again and just apply it really close, really, really close to the waterline, and just on the outer part. I just look up, and that makes it a lot easier. and go ahead and move on to eyeliner. I will be using the Urban Decay 24/7. This is Demolition. It's just a brown, just a brown shade. And I apply the upper waterline. You don't have to do this. I'm just, because I don't have a lot of lid space, I try not to do a liner on, you know, on the outer parts, so not to take up the little bit of space that I do have. So I just do it on my waterline, and even though that can tend to close the eye off a little bit, that's why I like to go on with a brown, because I feel like the brown is not as, you know, as harsh. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and curl the lashes, and then we'll finish the complexion after I've applied the mascara. Actually, before I apply mascara, I like to put in some setting spray. I'm gonna use the Morphe setting spray today. It has such a really fine mist, and because that foundation was a little bit drying, I find that this will put some moisture back into the skin. This is the Lancome Monsignor. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that incorrectly. Never took French. Okay, so let's go back to the complexion now. Even though I use the Wet n Wild foundation as a bronzer, I'm still gonna go over it with a powder. This is the Hoola, the Benefit bronzer, and everyone's familiar with this. This guy has been around for a while. Everyone loves it. I actually just picked it up. I don't know what rock I had been living under, but I just picked it up last week. So just kind of go over that foundation that we had used as bronzer, and this will kind of work to kind of set it, since we didn't really use any setting powder. And for our blush, we're gonna go with this Laura Geller blush. This also came in one of the Boxy Charms. Today, I'll be using the Flower Beauty. This is a 3 highlight palette. And I usually go for the one, the one that's a little bit on the golden side. I feel like that's a better match for my skin tone. It's a little bit blinding if you build it up. A little bit on the nose, the Cupid's bow. And I'll use that same highlighter to highlight the inner corner, because why not? right in there. And right in there. Just a little bit on the brow bone, not too much. So for lips, I'm going to be lining the lips first with the Urban Decay. This one is in the shade Liar. And for lipstick, we're going to be using the Milani in the shade, this is a matte lipstick in shade 69. This is matte, but it really doesn't feel drying on the lips. I would say it's more like a satin. Alright guys, this is the finished look. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe if you haven't. And I will see you on my next video. Bye!